welcome, Brother Abdul Hakim.
And warm welcome to you too, and all of those who are in the room and listening live on Facebook. Thank you, Sister Sylvina, Brother Jeffrey, Sister Andrea, for your testimonies. We have arrived again at that wonderful time where we will enjoy two of our very special guests today who will speak to us about the acquisition of land we have declared in 2022 regards to our repatriation club, which is a branch off of the spiritual injection platform, that our focus this year is to repatriate as many brothers and sisters whose parents are from the Caribbean back to the Caribbean, and as many brothers and sisters whose parents are from Africa back to Africa, but not obviously limited to, because the planet, we believe, belongs to our Father. And he taught us the square mileage of our earth, that the earth is 57,255,000 square miles. But we know that we really have no real tangible wealth if we do not own land, because from land comes everything we need to sustain ourselves as human beings. I was in the Caribbean approximately 3 weeks ago, and I was blessed to be with Priest Kailash in St. Lucia. And he has a 9-acre, what would you call that? Well, it's an estate, but it's also a rejuvenation center and a healing center. And he literally grows everything that he consumes. And as we pulled into the gate, and he had two of his sons just running around, on the estate. And when you see two young Rasta princes, running around enjoying 9 acres, we looked over and we said to them, look at them living life, and they don't know yet how rich they are. But could you imagine having 8-9 acres to run around in when you were young? What kind of man and woman would you be today? So therefore, because our focus is the acquisition of land, we have got two of the most prolific young brothers in North America who have captured this vision and are not just talking about the vision, they are actually acquiring land en masse and encouraging as many of our brothers and sisters to acquire land so that we really can come in line with our true purpose for life and of life. The fact that we would be born and leave this planet and not own a blade of grass is it's not a good look for our children or our grandchildren and those to follow us. So we take pleasure this evening in introducing to some of you and presenting to others Brother Farrakhan Muhammad Ali and Brother Ben X, who are very well known on social media, not for the sake of just being there for the sake of being there, but because of the great work that they have been doing to improve the lives of us as a people. So warm welcome to yourselves, Brother Farrakhan Muhammad Ali and Brother Ben X. Warm welcome to the Spiritual Injection platform. Our brothers are the founders of Hereafter Farms, which has been going now for approximately 6 months. And we would like to take our devices off of mute and receive them in a very warm way. So please, warm welcome to you both.
Everyone,
come with it.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Please, over to you, brothers.
Well, I'll let Brother Farrakhan go first.
It was totally quiet here until the second it was time for me to talk. And then all of a sudden, it was like, hey, let's have a meeting. Okay, well, I'm going to move over so that you all can hear me a little clearer. Give me 1 second, please.
So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
Well, assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you all for inviting us on this platform. We are very honored to be here and to share what we've been able to do by the help of Allah God, just following the vision of our teachers, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We often are congratulated for what we are doing and what we have been able to accomplish in the vision, but we are standing on the shoulders of many of those who came before us. I always like to share that because I really believe that we should close the gap between both generations, because although we've been able to do this in a matter of 6 months, which many would say is incredible and powerful. However, this is a 80+ year process that has allowed us to do such in 5 to 6 months. There are members of Hereafter Farms who talked about joining, and the reason that they joined is because they had fathers who used to take them to halal farms. They had fathers and mothers who would listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or listen to our past Black leaders who would speak about what we're doing. So although we have been a part of executing, we would not have been able to do this without the help of our leaders and our messengers who came before us, who planted the seed in our people's heads, who planted the seeds in our people's mind. And we're just here to cultivate and help it germinate and by the help of God, help really sustain the seeds that are growing all over the world, all over the planet. So I'm just thankful to be a part of Hereafter Farms and be a part of the implementation process, because we have been talking about it for a while, man, but to see it coming into fruition with operational unity is very important as well. So although we are being honored and on stage today, we wouldn't be able to do this without the people.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brother Ben. So my background should be a little better now, right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Praise be to Allah. So Hereafter Farms started as I was looking to buy land. I was in Chicago and it was like freezing cold. And I was like, okay, I got to buy some land. Obviously, I'm not going to buy it here. So I came down to Atlanta. I used to live here a long time ago. And I started looking for land and it was really expensive. And so I called someone that I knew and I said, hey, do you want to go half with me on land? And he's like, sure. And so we're looking at land and it's still overly expensive. Like it's out of our budget, right? So he says, well, I know somebody else that may want some. I said, okay, call him. I'll talk to him right now. We called him and then he said, yes, I'll split it 3 ways. And I said, you know, it's still a little pricey. I know one more person. Let me call them. And so we made another call and they said, yes. So by the end of that day, we had 4 people, right? Because we had a level of trust and transparency. So the deal was equal ownership. Us 4 will own the land. We'll get 5 or 6 acres. We'll invest equally into the land. We can build, we can discuss what we're going to do up front, agree on it, execute, and then buy the land. So we found a property that was a little more than what we had planned on getting. So we realized that we needed more people. So I said, well, why don't I put it on social media and see if we can find 1 or 2 more people? And so I put it on social media and sure enough, the next day we had 2 more people. So now we have 6 people and we were looking for 6 acres, but we came across a 25-acre mountain. And it was like, okay, let's talk to the bank about getting financing. And so instead I was like, well, let me just call the owner and see what the owner says. And the owner agreed to do owner financing. So now we have 6 people. We're splitting a down payment. We talked about terms. The guy agreed to no interest, low down payment. And by this time we had put it on social media. We had so much interest that, you know, the 6 people in the 25-acre mountain, it was obvious that, well, maybe we can do more. So the next day someone said on my Facebook, hey, I have 100 acres. Do you guys want that? And I said, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the 100 acres. We're already buying 25. I only wanted 1 acre really, because we don't know how big 1 acre is until you get on it. You're like, okay, I don't know what to do on this space, you know? And so I'm like, you know, let's talk about the 100 acres. And we talked. And I said, you know, there's a lot of people like me that want land. I said, why don't we build a community on the 100 acres? And they said, well, if you're going to build a community, we will give you this land to build a community on. And so I said, okay, well, I don't want money or anything in return. I just want to help facilitate it. And they said, well, if that's the case, then take the land, do what you're going to do. We appreciate the help. In exchange for you building a community, it will help us because now we get infrastructure on our land. We get people if we ever want to build, you know, an estate for our family, et cetera, et cetera. And so I put that on social media and people answered by the hundreds. I had hundreds of people reaching out to me and I was forced to like organize and strategize. So I have a background in political organizing, right? So for me, it was like, okay, break this down into groups. We'll set up Zoom calls of 15 to 25 people. I found someone to help with the Zoom calls and we just went full speed. Before I knew it, we had hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had builders, we had plans, we had everything. We got the land inspected and the land wasn't really the best land to build a community on. So I said, well, now that we have all these people and all this money, we don't need the free land. We can just go buy land, right? Because like we only wanted the land free because we didn't think we had the resources. But when you have 60 people dividing up the cost, you can buy anything you want. So while looking for more land, we had more people. So I was like, all right, let's find land in Atlanta. And we had a group of 12 and Brother Ben X reached out. He was the 13th person. He was the last person for this last group that we had that we were buying land with. It was a 27-acre property in Atlanta. And when he came on, he heard the breakdown and he's like, so how does it work? How much is it? And he's like, so how much, like, how does it work? And I was like, well, we break it down. We split the cost equally. And he's like, so what then? I said, well, we do this. And he's like, bro, I love it. He's like, count me in. He joined immediately, like didn't even like second guess it at all. But then he said, brother, we can scale what you're doing. So once he heard that, you know, 6 cows, a barn, hay, a fence, feed, irrigation was $35,000, but with 13 people, you divide that up and it's like $2,500 a person. And now we have an entire dairy cow operation operating to feed us, our family, our children, our community for the rest of our lives, building intergenerational wealth while meeting our physical, emotional, psychological, dietary needs as students of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was like a no-brainer. And he's like, yo, we need to scale this. And I was like, okay, cool, great. And so he brought what he knew from digital real estate, right? Which he's been in that space and he's somewhat of a master, I would say, in that space, right? Not just through learning how to use the digital content, but as a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, exercising supreme discipline, transparency, and integrity, being honest and open and communicative with those around them. It brought on a level of productivity that beforehand I had not seen anything like it in any business interaction that I had hitherto been a part of. So that's how we started as Hereafter Farms. And this was in like July or August. And Brother Ben X, I'll let him go from there if he wants, or I can keep going. But usually, you know, I don't want to talk too much because he'll have us fired up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic to my brother.
No, I mean, that's it, man. You know, as a founder of digital real estate, I saw that, man, this could really be scaled if we move this out to the masses of the people, because we are taught that, you know, let's get with 6 to 8 like-minded individuals, come together and do something for ourselves. But with this blueprint, I'm thinking, man, we can create this all over the world. We're Hereafter Farm. So, you know, I got the digital real estate. So I said, let's turn digital real estate into physical real estate. So let's learn how to get money online. Let's learn, as you guys were saying before, how to get money with NFTs, but let's also convert that into something that is real, physical, that can't nobody print off, that can't nobody mint. It's only 57,255,000 square miles of that land, as we're taught. And let's have some of that, which we can call our, you know, our own, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. So for me, I just knew that the model made sense because many of us, or many people, get online and we got a nice home or a nice car, or we got 40 acres of land, and that looks cool. But I think it just looks a lot better when you can say, man, we acquired 40 acres. Right. We acquired 100 acres, and you got 70 plus new landowners who didn't even know what a deed is. I just thought that was a lot better. Plus, you know, we are taught that ye are all gods.
Yeah.
You know, and if we are all gods, this is not just something that we quote. This is something that we have to live by, meaning that I got something in me that my brother may not have or my sister may not have, but they also got something in them that I don't have. So ideas that they're going to produce may be beyond what me and Brother Farrakhan is going to produce. The ideas that we have is ideas that was beyond maybe what those before us produced, but both of us collectively is what really made this happen. So what I said the other day is on the video is the hereafter is not just us, it's all of us collectively. You know, what solutions have you been given from God? The minister says, hey man, we answered the prayers. All the answers to our prayers come through the womb of a woman. So she's giving birth to those who are going to solve this or solve the problems that we have today. So if we just make it all us and just our ideas, man, we're gonna be missing out on all kind of game God got for us, because we're not listening and petitioning the people to say, what's your ideas? What's some strategies that you have? So I just thought, man, if we expand this thing all over the world, man, this is going to be something that's going to be global and powerful and this is probably not even a word, but just understand what I'm saying. Transgenerational. I just made that one up. It got to transcend generations. So as we go, we got to have a system in place to where it stays here, even though we're not physically here.
Fantastic. What I'm hearing from you both is your visions coming together, you know, and because there was a desire for something bigger than self, then fusion seemed to have taken place. And now, as we know, we're taught, you know, this is an idea whose time has come, right? And because of the type of or the amount of individuals who are coming forward with zest and desire, you know, you don't have to break anything down to them. They're already on board, like, just tell me what to do and how to do it, and I'm in. How does that feel to you, knowing that you moved out on something and actualized it, and what you're seeing in the people is a hunger for actuality as opposed to just more rhetoric, if you will?
Man, can I be honest with you? So
yes, sir.
It feels like confirmation.
Yes.
And this is what I mean by this. You know, many people have heard of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh man, I was at the Million Man March. Oh man, I done been to the mosque. Oh man, I done been to Savior's Day. Even those of us in it, we say it. But the minister gave us the blueprint, and the blueprint is what me and Brother Farrakhan use, and it's like a secret weapon that many sometimes scared to use. The minister says, I have gone before you and made friends for you.
Yes.
Now we hear him say that. I've gone to almost every nook and cranny. I've went before you and made friends for you. But then we turn around and be scared to mention his name.
Yeah.
Oh, we do. Listen, don't go too far. Let's just keep this on. No, see, me and Brother Farrakhan, our secret weapon is we're students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Well, brother Ben, with all due respect, Brother Farrakhan can't get away from that.
Oh yeah, he can't even try. Huh?
He's been spiritually tattooed.
Even if he tried. Hey, but it's those with Muhammad's, you know, who run from it as well. But my point is, he has been the secret weapon for this. So I get that. Oh man, you guys, what are you? But when they hear we're students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, there's a certain amount of comfort that comes with that. There's a certain amount of respect that comes for that, because they know if we're striving to follow him, they ain't gonna try to cheat us. They ain't gonna try to scam us. They're gonna try to their best ability to make it happen. And if they don't know, they're gonna say, hey man, I don't know. This is how we're taught. So for us, that is the secret weapon, and why they are so receptive from from my thoughts. Brother Farrakhan, I think he agreed, but if he don't, he'll share. But I think that is the secret weapon to them being so receptive, because we're just following the man who they trust. We're following after the man who has gone before us and showed an example of discipline, shown an example of integrity. And we've gotten here thus far by just following him, listening to that guidance and listening to whatever guidance Allah is going to bring through us from inside. But that is that key that I think allows us to be received by many people versus being rejected. And another thing is this: the minister always teaches us about money and being responsible and being willing to put your life on the line if you do this. Well, what we wanted to do is the opposite of what we have saw others before us do. Others before, let's raise money. And when we raise, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, by the way, I just want to put that out there, but I just want to do this way. We see they raise money, and they raise money for an idea. Let's donate for an idea of what could happen. What we said was, we're taking no donations. Yeah. We don't want your donations. Yeah. Keep all your donations. We're going to show you what we can do with our own money, our own time, and our own effort first. And as you see us build something, then add on to what we already built. But we're no longer saying, hey, let's just put money up for idea. No, we wanted to say, let's be an example first. And we have borrowed no money from the bank, meaning that we got zero debt as well. So what we wanted to do was say, hey, man, let's show the people that, let's give an example of what could be done with the $1,000 that we have. What can we do with the $10,000 that we have? What can we do with the $20,000 that we have? And let them be the fuel to the fire versus them just putting some money up, hoping that something happens. And if it don't happen, there's always a negative response, because we know in business, all things ain't gonna work. We know you may have a great intention, but if they done gave all that money, the business can fail. And they don't even care about the business thing. They don't care about if you show them the legal paper. All they know is you said you was going to do this. It didn't work. Now you're a fraud. Now you scamming. So we said, let's just do all that we can by ourselves first. Let's execute first. Let's document the process. That's another thing that we've been able to do as well, is we've strove to document the process. So when we get in land, we have in our highlight documentation when we on there. When we say that we got some land that we want to get, we say, hey, this is what we want to do even before we do it, so we can show you guys the process. So when we accomplish it, you can say, man, I seen them do it. All of our Zoom calls with developers, all of our Zoom calls with the team, it's all recorded. So when that time comes, we're going to be able to show you guys the blueprint that we've been documenting the entire time. So there's no shady business, nothing like that. So we try to be as transparent as possible as well. Sometimes people want to be so secretive and things of that nature. Hey, man, we dealing with a universal snooper. If you got your iPhone next to you, I'm sorry, newsflash, they can hear you. If you got your TV on, you ain't got nothing covering it, they can see you. So we wanted to be transparent, not giving away all the information, but as much as we can so that people can see and they're growing along with us.
Very good. So tell us, in regards to the importance, because you mentioned the importance of vision and we discussed the importance of structure. Now, tell us, where are you in the process from where you started? What are some of the endeavors and acquisitions that you're engaged in at present, and what kind of opportunities are you actually offering others who would like to join on to what you're doing?
So right now we started with 27 acres in Atlanta, and right after that we went to I think it was Colorado, 43 acres in Arkansas, 3.5 acres in Florida, 5-acre property right outside of Dallas where Brother Benex is, another 20 acres in Texas, 200 acres in Ghana, and that's a cocoa plantation or farm, and we're importing the cocoa from Ghana to the States. We're looking for a chocolatier that can take the cocoa and turn it into our first bar. So we're pretty excited about that. It's a 250-acre collaboration in Liberia they want us to reproduce or replicate what we've done here in the States on a, a property in Liberia. And so we're trying to figure out, we're looking for, there's some builders there, but it's difficult to navigate that scene because we are not directly communicating with all the different parties. So we're relying on others to help us with the Liberia project, but it's very exciting. 35-acre hydroponic farm in Kenya that we have a group, a coalition, God willing, that will be going out there. We have not traveled much because of COVID. We don't want to do too much. You know, we have a high level of respect for what the world is going through right now. We want to be careful and cautious and protect ourselves. And so we've got a 30-acre collaboration in Egypt. So we just got our first package of olives and dates. From that, the 30 acres is producing its land not far up the Nile River. It's very rich and fertile. He's really just waiting for us to come out there and visit before we finalize things. We wanted to see some of the foreign land first before we make huge investments into some international deals that we have. Some of it is already inked out, but places like Egypt, we wanted to go and visit first because there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of different entities that want to get involved. And so when you're dealing with mass, like importing large quantities, we just want to put our feet on the ground first. In northern Georgia, we're building, God willing, a 350-acre sustainable community with about 125 families. And that is residential, agricultural, and commercial. So it's basically what we wanted to do with the 100-acre project initially in the very beginning, but a million times better, right? So we have 125 families that we sold land to, that came in and bought land collectively to help us build this community. We have a list of covenants and restrictions that everyone has to adhere to. We hold firm to those, as Brother Benek said, by not shying away from the teachings, by accepting them and using them as a guiding light, they become a superpower. So it is a divisive criterion that either you agree or disagree. So if you want to scale, a lot of people say scaling, you have to be universal. True, absolutely. God is universal, but God also has laws that are universal. So in coming into a universal nation, you still have to obey the laws that God put in place. So me and Brother Benek didn't create laws. We just followed the laws that already existed within the Nation of Islam framework that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan presented to us in the restrictive law of Islam. This came about on one of our first ever Zoom meetings. People wanted to know what was the rules, what was the laws. I prayed to Allah. I said, Allah, I don't know what the rules and laws are. Can you show me what the rules? And I looked over after I prayed, and there was the book, the restrictive law of Islam. I said, well, there's the answer right there. So we copy and pasted, and we had to augment because some of it has to be practical and some of it has to be applicable. So we made slight changes to adapt to a specific environment. So like Benek said, organizational unity, but also project-based unity has been extremely helpful, setting goals and then unifying and uniting around the accomplishment of that specific goal as a part of a greater organizational unity, this project-based unity. So by putting the law out there, we have covenants and restrictions that everyone has to agree to. There's no weapons, there's no guns, there's no alcohol, and we lost a lot of people. We lose constantly. People are coming in, they're excited, they want to join, and then they're like, man, I can't have weapons, I can't smoke weed, I can't drink on my own property. We're like, nah, you can't. Like, get up out of here. And then right behind them,
back to the projects.
right behind that, somebody comes with the money in hand, like, oh, I've been waiting for this my whole life. I love it. Here you go. And we're like, well, there you go, you know? So like minds attracting, like minds. By putting out a project and putting out the call in the name of God, you attract people in the name of God. So by doing something that's not, oh, me and Brother Benek figured out this, we figured out that, and now you have to agree with us. No, you have to agree with God. You have to agree with this vision that we're trying to help manifest, that's larger than us, that was here before us and will be here after us. So our projects are very spiritual based. very community oriented, very focused on decentralization. So we're working on an NFT project as well. We're working on a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. We think it's a perfect fit for the Hereafter Farms model as a community. We're not letting the cat out the bag too much about the NFT project yet, but we do have something in the works. And so this community in Northern Georgia is actually going to be, that picture right there is from our first 27-acre property. Now, these men in this picture had never met until after we bought the land. And then we came and saw the land together. We had never even met. People were paying and agreeing and signing stuff without ever having met. So these people had never even met in this picture. This was our first time meeting, some of us, because we had faith and we had a love for one another and a level of transparency that said, we'll treat each other the way we want to be treated. That was the objective. That was the guiding principle behind all of this, was not like big I's and little U's. And that's why it's important to put stuff on paper up front, because then the paper becomes the law. The paper becomes the thing that we're divided over, not the person or the individual or the personality, or if that person's having a good day or a bad day. Now everyone has to exist around the influence that that person is under based on the atmosphere that they've created for themselves. So now we all don't have to exist in other people's realities. We can all exist in Allah's reality because Allah is at the center of this project. And once you put it down on a piece of paper, we all revolve around that document, just like the Holy Quran.
Yeah, very good. So tell me, what are the greatest challenges that you have faced to date? Because we're hearing all of the blessings, all of the successes, but what have been the greatest challenges that you have had to overcome to date?
I have a couple, but I'm gonna let Brother Ben go first.
Well, I'm trying to think, man. It's been such a blessing. I know one. The greatest challenge up to date, and I think we're getting there, is scaling ourselves out of these positions so that we can continue to grow and focus on the development. First you work inside of your business, but after a while you want to systematize it to where you're working on your business and we can focus on bigger things. So what I'm saying is a goal is to scale Brother Farrakhan out of the position of being on phone calls all day, for one.
All day.
All day. And so that we can grow. That is what I was seeing. And then having growing a team, putting together a system for when we get tens of thousands of people to come request. Right now, we're doing a great job, wonderful job, managing it right now. But as 5,000 come in, 10,000 come in, having that team and that system in place to where as we bring new people on, it's smooth, quick process to where we can handle the amount and handle the blessings that's coming in as well. I think about the nation. We can get a lot of people to come in, but there's a process. We got processing class, we got lieutenants, we got captains, we got this. So having that structure in place and that manpower in place that's all on the same page, mentally, spiritually, and with the vision is what we are eventually going to get to. So it's not necessarily a problem now, which is why I kind of was having a hard time thinking about it, but it is where I want us to eventually be and be prepared for when tens of thousands of people come, we'll be prepared for it.
Very good. Thank you. Brother Farrakhan?
Yeah, it's really hard to think of an actual problem because we really haven't had any.
No problem, challenge.
Yeah. I would say the most important thing, I mean, it's even the challenge is like with the unity, I would find it hard to verbally describe how easy things are to overcome with unity. So it makes what would be a problem, 60 people can trample what is a problem to one person. 125 people really don't even notice it, but to one person, it's like a mountain. So operational unity with a God consciousness is almost like we become a problem to unrighteousness. Like we become the force that evil and lies and falsehood has to watch out for, as opposed to the other way around, where we're striving to overcome a system of wickedness and falsehood.
Yeah.
With unity, it's almost the other way around. I can only imagine if we get 10 times more than we have now. Man, it's literally anything is possible, anything. And so, as it was in the very beginning, I'd say the most important thing that so it doesn't become a challenge or doesn't become a problem is to stay extremely conscious of God.
Yeah.
Because it's him we need to guide us through this. And the second we become disconnected is the second we become misguided and we ruin everything that, it will unravel. So by staying very conscious of God, I think that we'll be fine.
You've almost walked straight into the next question that I was going to ask you, which is, because you've been blessed to grow so fast and so strong, and there's really no end in sight as to how far this can go, right? So because this is new territory, even though you're both no strangers to success in other areas, but this is a new field of endeavor. Because as you said in the beginning, you were just looking for an acre for yourself. And if the price had been a lot cheaper, you probably wouldn't have wanted to JV with someone. So the mere fact that the price was high and you had to reach up, you needed help to get up. So as a result of needing help to get up to achieve the objective, you didn't shrink. Even though it was more expensive, you didn't say, okay, I'm not going to go for it. Let me go for a cheaper piece. You maintained your focus on acquiring that, but reaching for help. And that help has now morphed into where you are now. So you pretty much answered the question, but by way of securing long-term, the success that you've already garnered, or that which you're enjoying presently, what are some of the key principles? And I don't know if there's anything outside of being cognizant of the Most High, and keeping him uppermost in your mind. But on a day-to-day, because, you can keep the Most High uppermost in your minds, but when you're now managing people by the hundreds, how do you intend to keep everybody focused so that your success does not become too overwhelming? Because the higher you go is obviously, and the more success you enjoy is obviously the more you're exposed and the more pressure that is visited upon you. So have you considered how you're going to stay on track and not allow the success that you are enjoying to be the means of any kind of danger in the future?
I'll let you go first, Brother Farrakhan.
Okay. So the way this started was once everyone answered the call about the 100-acre property, I turned to Allah the night before Ramadan and I made a prayer and I asked him to use me as a vessel. I said, Allah, I don't know. I never built a community before, but all these people answered this call. What am I going to tell them? So I asked Allah to use me, to use my hands and use my mouth and guide my feet. And so that I would be in harmony with his will, and that I would build things and do things that he was pleased with, and that I would say things that he wanted me to say, and that I would go in a way that was pleasing to him. And I literally just put it all in his hands. And I had faith that he would answer that prayer. So when I turned on the computer and I opened up Zoom, being honest and transparent, everything worked out. Like it was unbelievable, because honesty and transparency If you don't know something, it's fine. Say, oh, I don't know that. And so one thing we learned through our unity, Brother Ben and I, is that there's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot we don't know how to do. But by decentralizing leadership, by saying, let's find people who are proficient in that field,
Right.
we can keep expanding because we're not expanding necessarily vertically. We're expanding horizontally as well. So by decentralizing leadership, if something comes up, now there's 12 of us to figure it out, or there's 4 of us to figure it out. So it takes a lot of the pressure off of one person having to figure everything out, having to manage everything. And so by spreading out the responsibility and spreading out the ideas and having faith that God is going to allow whatever he wants to come into existence, regardless of whether it comes through you or not. So it doesn't have to come through me. It can come through my brother. It can come through our sister. It can come through you. It can come through anyone. So by inviting people in and giving them a chance to collaborate and work together, I think that's the key as far as like our blueprint. There's the blueprint, but then there's our blueprint as far as how to exercise and manifest what we've been given. And it really comes by way of allowing other people to express the divine gifts and perspective that God has blessed them with, but by also staying deeply connected and rooted in your own connection to the Creator. And people usually, however you are, is how the people around you are going to become. So as Brother Ben and I stay deeply connected, it will consciously and subconsciously inspire everyone around us to function in the same manner. So I'd say our spirituality is the key going forward. Everything else is going to work out fine if we're connected to God. And I hate to do that because it's a business, but that's literally what it is. It's a manifestation of a spiritual message for the benefit of a physical reality.
Very good. Well, you're wearing your stress very well. In fact, you didn't put it on today. Robert Benex, you didn't bring your stress with you neither. So please.
Yeah, I would say Moses in striving to help the children of Israel, was it Moses who was trying to free his people and he said, let my people go?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think to sum up what Brother Farrakhan said, I would like to come from the scripture on this, which he was given a great blueprint. Yes. This is in Exodus 18. What I'm going to read is 13 through 17. It says, the next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, what is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening? Moses answered him, because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions. Look at what his father-in-law said. What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Then he says, have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all of these people will go home satisfied. That's Ezekiel 18. That's the blueprint that we need to use. Now listen to this. This is from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. When Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was the minister in New York City, He told the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad about how he opened up the mosque on Wednesdays to meet the believers. Most of the meeting were them sharing with him their troubles. He said afterwards he would be drained. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, brother, I did not send you there to hear their problems. He said, I sent you there to teach Islam. He said, and if you teach it properly, they will be able to solve their own problems. So when I look at that, that's the only way that we're going to be able to survive and not take on all the stress that will, tarnish the movement, is if we raise up capable men, if we follow the blueprint that we have been given. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not doing this on his own. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan isn't doing it on his own. He said, I want to be empty. I want to give all, because the future is in the hands of the youth. The youth is the future. So in order for us to carry on this load, the minister, the teachers ask us all the, when will my help come? So we have to get help, and we have to have that blueprint in place and system in place for those capable men and women to come in and take on this heavy load with us. Brother Farrakhan knows in our meetings, I'm always talking about, okay, well, what if 10,000 come? Okay, what if 20,000 come? What are we going to do? How are we going to be able to sustain this? Because we have to duplicate and replicate ourselves, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to do it. I learned from the minister, man. I used to be so spooky. I thought, man, if I raise my hand and accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, oh, I'm going to be here forever. Oh, I'm never going to die. But I learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
See, he said eternal life isn't my finite body living forever. It's about the infinite or infinite wisdom, the mind that's going to live forever. So our great leaders from the past, Malcolm, Marcus Garvey, any of those great ones from the past who have so-called past, the Quran says, speak not of those who are slain in the way of Allah as dead. No, they are not dead. We just comprehend not. So if their mind is in us, as long as we stand on truth, as long as that truth is here, we are here. So this is why the ministers say, I can't die. Not that he's, spooky and think that his physical body will never go away, but he has done such a great job at putting his mind in us, that wisdom, those morals in us, those principles in us. He's going to always be here. And that's the only way here at the farms is going to survive, as well. Us being able to take what we've been given and transfer that knowledge into the youth, transfer that knowledge into the capable men, and that load and that stress will be off of us so we can keep some of that black hair and not be all gray at the top.
Very good. Fantastic. So tell me, where do you go next? Acquiring land, feeding ourselves, sheltering ourselves. What's the next step?
Brother Benex, would you like me to go, brother? Or you got it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next steps, brother Minister Abdul Hakim, is we are slowly expanding, and we're slowly expanding intentionally. We have opportunity for rapid growth and expansion. I mean, that's relative, but we want to do it, I won't say slow, but steady.
Yeah.
And we're working on a few different projects. One is this 350-acre community. We're actually building a commercial district. So it'll be the largest Black commercial district in the US. And the landowners have first access to it as business owners. So we have businesses lining the street because it's a whole intersection that we own. So we have businesses lining the street. Behind the business is the farmland, and that insulates the residential land behind that. So to develop the community is next in one direction. We have our international relations and collaborations in another direction. And in this direction, we have a major deal to acquire another piece of property, hundreds of acres, that's going to help us provide food, clothing, shelter, education, and training to our people. Meeting the needs of our people is the priority, not for a day, not for a week, not for a month, but forever. Something that will last forever in the name of God. And the deeper down you go to plant those roots, the stronger and taller the tree will be when it becomes manifested. So we're planting these roots down in different parts of the country and different parts of the world, some public, some private, so that when we grow, when I say we, I mean everyone involved, when we grow in a way that's pleasing to God and that allows God to protect us, because he can only protect us if we do what he has asked of us to do. Like a child, you tell the child, don't touch the stove, it's hot. That's the parent protecting you. The parent can't watch you the rest of your life, but then you don't listen, you touch it and you get burned.
Right.
So God has exhorted us, he's warned us, he's guided us, he's given us examples, especially in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said, if you keep me and my example in your consciousness, you cannot go wrong. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said there was two mountain peaks, very high. And below the mountain peaks were spikes and certain death if you fall. And there's a thin wire between the two peaks. And the only person that was able to make it across was Muhammad. And this, I've heard the minister say, is in his example, not in just saying what he said, but in living the life that he has asked us to live. And so what's next for us, the same thing that got us here, I pray, is the same thing that will keep us here. And as far as land goes, food, clothing, and shelter, education, transportation, that's where we're headed to. Transportation, shipping, and logistics through trucking, and education. We're building a birth center, we're building a school, we're building a tech lab, and we're building a fabrications center, God willing, so that when our people are done with their education, they have somewhere to go to apply what they learn in a collective manner, in a collaborative manner, and incubate those ideas and bring them into reality in a space that we control, in an atmosphere that we create, in an environment with like minds. The minister said that the greatest power in the universe is created when two people come together to talk about God. So what if we create an environment where everyone's talking about God? We're solving our problems in a God-conscious manner. We have that ability now as a people. Hereafter Farms is just a vessel. The people is where the power of God lies. It's where God lives, is in the human being. So by creating spaces, by creating an environment where the God within can come out and express himself and create things and institutions and products that reflect his desire and his will. He's in all of us waiting to come out. And it's our job to create those spaces for the next generation so they can express their divinity.
Very good. So by way of collaboration, how does those who desire to collaborate, how would they go about such?
Brother Ben?
Because I've been getting several DMs while we've been on this Zoom here. Go to info at hereafterfarms.com and be very detailed about your experience that you have and how you would like to come on and help. We are developing a skills bank. We're here at the farm. So we have a list of people who are truckers who got their authority. We're building a list of farmers. We're building a list of people who have all kind of skills that they would like to bring to here at the farm. So as Brother Farrakhan said, we're just a vessel. We're just a platform to put our people to work with the God-given gift that they already have been given. So just shoot us an email, info at hereafterfarms.com, and let us know in detail what you do. Now be a little patient now, because you know, it is a lot of people in front of you. Yes, 9 members are allowed as long as you believe in righteousness and submit your will to the will of God. And if you don't believe in God, add an older God. Now you got good. If you believe in submitting to do good, man, we are all one. We know who you are. We're not going to argue with you about who you are. We just want to build a community that is safe and decent, and for our people who we know by nature are the righteous.
Very good. And what's the projections in regards to the main development that you've been outlining? Are you rolling it out in phases, and where are you currently in regards to the phase that you're in?
So we started a development company out of necessity, not something that we planned on. And the development company is handling the development, but on the 350 acres, we have found 2 Black builders who are going to build the homes. People can bring in their own builders. Right now, we're lotting up the property so that people can pick the specific lots that they're going to own. And once we do that, we can figure out, we're going to run utilities throughout the rest of the property. Utilities are already on site, but we're going to run them throughout the rest of the property. We already cut down some of the agricultural land. We're going to continue to section off the agricultural land. The first thing that's going to be erected is the commercial, because there's no zoning laws. And the reason we chose this county and this specific property is that it's unrestricted land in an unincorporated county. So there's literally very few zoning laws. So we dealt with local government, and now we're pretty much in the clear for commercial development. So we're going to build the businesses first and giving landowners the opportunity to own those businesses first. So what we want to do is have a sustainable community. It's hard to be sustainable without income. The agricultural land will produce income, but also you need outlets where people can purchase the products from the agricultural land, where people can purchase the refined products that are made from the produce from the agricultural land. Our people are very creative, very entrepreneurial right now in 2022. Everybody's got something going on. So by having the commercial district first, it really creates a really rare opportunity for our people to come in and not only own commercial property, but operate commercial property right next to where they live. Also, we're hoping that tourism will drive in a decent economic factor of stability, because it's the largest, it's the only thing like it in America, but it's certainly the largest. And so we know that tourism will account for a certain percentage of traffic, which in turn will be income focused toward the landowners. So that's where we're at now as far as the development goes. Brother Ben X and I are also working out a way to allow people to be involved in the construction of new home development, not just for themselves, but also as an investment for others. So Hereafter Developments is going to start focusing on more on new home construction. These are things that organically came about of unity and talking and building and collaborating. And by reinvesting profits back into the business, it kept allowing us more opportunity. So when opportunity came up, we didn't have to say no because, oh, we already expended all of our resources on another opportunity. And well, why can't you do this one now? Oh, we did it and it's over. No, we took whatever money we had and reinvesting it back into the business. So now we can keep taking advantage of new opportunities, using delayed gratification, using emotional intelligence. We're not masters of it, obviously, but we're just striving to integrate some of these principles that we think will help us execute on a spiritual vision in the physical reality.
Fantastic. So each a lot that is purchased by the individuals or a collective group, are they freehold land or will they be leased for a period of time?
Ownership.
Owned outright.
Each for this property, we have multiple properties. Every property is structured differently. The 27 acres, the first property we bought, we all own the entire 27 acres. So we figured out a way through an LLC and a trust. We stumbled upon, out of necessity and out of love, we used creative energy and stumbled upon a way for groups to buy land collectively without it being considered a fundraise or having to go through any regulatory paperwork or institutions. Hey, collectively, we bought 27 acres. We're not subdividing. We're not sectioning it off. We all share the 27 acres. We own it equally. We figure out upfront what we're going to do. We put that into an operating agreement. This other property, everyone owns their land. They get a deed, they own it. they can do what they want with their land within the framework of the covenants and restrictions that are put in place.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Because one of the challenges I found when we were in Ghana recently, when we looked at land in Ghana, we found that all of the land is owned by different chiefs. And when you buy the land, you're given a lease. That lease could be 50 years, it could be 99 years. So I found it very difficult to purchase land in Africa where it's not mine. And I could purchase land in England and it's freehold. It's mine. I can bequeath it, infinitum. So the land that you're selling and distributing and you're owning is freehold, owned outright.
Correct.
Very good. Very good. And the idea with the shops, it will be run as a cooperative. The businesses?
They're being built in as units of 4. So each 4 unit will be owned by a group, a collective of owners and investors. And those owners and investors are structuring profit sharing, equity sharing upfront. Each 4 unit is a collective is formed, an entity is formed based on that 4 unit. And so that allows us to have this, once again, these smaller goals within the framework of a larger project. So these 4 units are going to have 4 businesses in each one. It will be 4 business owners, but also 4 investors. And this allows all 8 of those people with the builder. If God willing, if some people want to invest less capital or more, we could bring in a builder as a 9th entity, because the builders also are excited about this project. But to keep it simple, each 4 unit is going to be its own separate entity. It'll be owned by the business owners and a group of investors, and profit sharing will be agreed upon up front.
So to own one of the shops, I don't have to own any of the property.
You don't, but first priority is given to the landowner. So we have to wait until all landowners either accept or decline the opportunity first before bringing in anyone else.
Okay, because the next question I was going to, ask you, what can I get first refusal on the coffee shop?
That's first business, first order of business in the hereafter is a coffee shop. Believe it or not.
It really is. Everybody has asked about that.
Everybody. Who would have thought? A coffee shop. I want to come to the hereafter, but we need a coffee shop. It's like, wait,
and that's
years for this coffee shop.
And that's one of the perks of being a part of the community. When you think about business, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that business is the activity of life. Every creature, every animal wants to sustain themselves. So if we are in the community, it just makes sense, man. One of the people from the community, y'all create a business. Now you guys have a built-in customer base. So that's another part about those who have an entrepreneur spirit, who's going to be delivering services to the people. Let's say you got a shop that got baby wipes, paper towels, silverware. Like, do you know how many people in that community going straight to that shop? They don't want to go 20 minutes down the road, 30 minutes down the road. So we hope that those who are coming in could see that vision. The fact that we want the landowners to have first access to that, you're getting a built-in customer base where you can start to generate income just by solving the needs of the people in the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll DM you, read the coffee shop. Okay.
No, really, you can. We have a lot of people that want to invest. Yeah. And as long as we're partnered up with the landowner, I mean, we can do anything. Like, the sky's the limit.
That's fantastic. Because when I remember I used to travel to the Arab Emirates and study the culture of the Arab Emirates. So say for Dubai, for instance, those who live in Dubai, in order for you to go and do business in Dubai, you have to partner with a citizen there. And the citizen will receive 51% of the profits. And as an expat or an outsider, you receive 49% of the profits. And I found that a very interesting model, that everybody had to be sponsored who's in business by a citizen, and yeah, a citizen, a native of the country. And it sounds like you're doing something very similar.
It does.
Yeah.
Sounds close, definitely.
Yes, very good. So all that's left for me to say is we're very proud of what you're doing, and we're very honored to be associated with you and what you're doing, because, you know, these are things that, you know, just most just dream about. And they actually use the word dream, right? They don't use the word vision. And the mere fact that you have accepted the challenge to be, you know, founders of that which we have spoken about for a long time, and that which we need, and that which is truly empowering. Because for me, we have been in the Caribbean looking for land to purchase for our group, for the repatriation group. And we've found 6 acres that we are planning on doing something similar, having residential and coupling that with agricultural land. And as one who was the forerunner who went out to spy out the land, there is nothing more liberating, you know, than standing on land and envisaging what can be done. Because, you know, living here in the United Kingdom, you know, the Queen of England is reputed to be the wealthiest person on the planet. And that's predicated upon the amount of land that she owns, right? The land that she owns. And I was looking into the US in regards to Bill Gates buying up all of the farmland in the United States of America. And he's the #1 farm owner in the United States of America, even though he's not the #1 landowner per se. What would you say to those on the line, just as we wind down and wrap up, in regards to the immediacy and the importance and the critical nature of the time in which we are living, in regards to joining on to a group who is serious about feeding, clothing, and sheltering themselves? What would you say as a guiding principle, as advice for those who don't really fully understand the importance of what you're doing in this particular time that is being done?
I would say do for self or suffer the consequences. We are taught that separation is the best and only answer if we cannot get along in peace with justice. And if we continue to see what we see going on, especially with this virus going around, that alone in itself should be enough evidence and enough guidance in its own that we should be listening to what we have been guided to do for many decades. As this kicks up, we see the effects of it in the school. As this kicks up, we see the effects of it in the job. As this kicks up, we see the effects of it coming to the hospital where we have to be vaccinated and all this type of stuff. You can't go here. You can't go here. Well, guess what? In the hereafter, you don't need your V card in the hereafter. So when you see all these things kick up in America, if you want something of your own for your children that you can pass down to without having all of the load on yourself, that will be the value of the hereafter. Some may be on the line saying, well, what is the hereafter? What does this mean? I thought the hereafter was something in the sky after we die. Well, we ain't waiting on the pie in the sky and the sweet by and by after we die. They used to say we want some sound on the ground while we still around. So here is an adjective describing a place. After is an adjective describing time. What the hereafter is here on earth. After this wicked world has been destroyed. And if we look at scripture, we look at this mystery Babylon that we are in, we look at the fall of America that we have been talking about, and we see that it's happening more and more as this world continues to follow those who are in charge and those who are in leadership. So if you don't want to be a part of this fall, you know, we're taught that the white man's town was up in 1914. But I heard the minister say one time, well, the reason we have not necessarily seen, I guess, a change is because we just got to stand up. So once we accept who we are and be ourselves and truly separate, then we'll see that world fall, and not necessarily a human being, but that mindset fall, and we'll see righteousness standing on top. And if you want to be a part of that, you know, I would be a part of something that, you know, is not led necessarily by human beings who are all I almost said frauds, who are all flawed. I would rather be behind something that is backed by God and following God, where you're not necessarily following a human being per se, you're following out the truth, because truth is the boss. When we make a decisions, it ain't just, hey, my way or the highway. We want to make it a voting system. We want to make it to something that we all can agree on. So when we begin to get people on the land, we're going to eventually put everybody in a discord. So when we want to make decisions, we all come together collectively and find a way to make a decision. Sort of like how the minister has a council. We want to have a council to where we are getting different ideas, different perspectives. Then we make the decision. So if you want to be a part of something that is not on its way down, but is on its way up by the help of God, then I would look into how serious this really is, because our youth is tired of being told, go to school so you can get good grades and go work for somebody else. That's not the solution. If they see us, mom, coming home miserable every night, that's not the solution, dad. If they see us coming home every day and we tired and we're not inspired and we're not motivated. So by you not even saying nothing about nonverbal communication, I see that that's not the answer. So Master Farrakhan Muhammad said he wants us to have money, luxury, good homes, friendship of all walks of life. And this is what we see happening in the hereafter if we all collectively come together and do it.
Very good.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Brother Abdul Hakim, for letting me ask my question. And thank you, brothers, so much for sharing your process. And it was all very insightful. So to my question, you talked about the importance of documenting the process and being very open and public. And in that way, you also get like-minded individuals naturally attracted to what you are doing because you're very open with the process. So my question for you is, where's the balance between being open and documenting, and at what stage do you start doing that as opposed to keeping quiet? Because, you know, sometimes when you have an idea, it might be best to work on it quietly to also prevent things like maybe sabotage or other individuals trying to take or do other things with your idea. So at what point would you recommend, at what stage in that process do you start publicly documenting what you're doing or sharing?
That's a great question. When you are pregnant, some don't always want to share that they're pregnant, because there are those who would like to convince them to get an abortion. However, after a few months have gone by, whether if you wearing that big black dress or not to hide it, you're going to be exposed because you're so developed that it's going to be known without anybody saying anything. So there are things that we do share, and there are things that we can't help but share because we are so developed. You know, there's a difference between a tree and grass that can be pulled up, and the difference is that it's rooted down. I remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talking about at one time he wasn't taking interviews because he was pregnant. Not that he was pregnant, but pregnant with an idea. So he was making sure that he was rooted down first, so that when the winds come, as they will eventually, and it's inevitable, he'll be strong enough to withstand the wind that's on the way. there are, although I said we document a lot, there's also, just because we document it don't mean that we are putting it out. So the Zoom calls that I talked about, it is documented, but they aren't known. Many people ask for the address and they politely get ignored all the time as well. So there is stuff that we don't share and that we don't put out and that'll only be available for the members. But I will share this though, as we are growing in guidance, I just keep our faith and trust in Allah as well. There was a property that we was looking to acquire, 63 acres. And I guess we put it out too early. And there was somebody, Brother Farrakhan shared with me, who called and was basically lying about what we were doing. So the sellers didn't want to sell it to us. They made up all kind of stuff, said we doing a GoFundMe, we wasn't good people and things of that nature. Well, look at how Allah answered. We didn't get that land, but right down the street, we found better land. Not only better land, but we found more land. It was more land, about 100 acres, and the land was better. And that's actually a part of where we're going to be building what we're building. So all praise is due to Allah for the opposition. As we are taught, opposition is necessary. So I would just say the process should be shared and can be shared as you are developed and as and based on how ready you are. So I think it's based on it depends on how confident you are. If you're trying to start a business and you're not strong enough, the moment you get a bad comment, you're gonna shut it down, then maybe you need to be quiet for a while. But I kind of look at this like a pregnancy. There is a process when you want to be quiet, you want to be to yourself, but then there's going to come a certain point where you're going to need support. You're going to need to attract those who are like-minded, and then you're going to have to put your trust in what you are able to do with the guidance that we already have. Like when you hear the vision of Hereafter Farms, is literally what's been echoed for the past 80 years. When you look at the blueprint that's on hereafterfarms.com, you hear it's literally the minister. It's like an 8-step blueprint that the minister has already gave. So it's on us to execute at this point. And yes, we should think about our enemy, and we're conscious that that they are not happy of what we're doing. But I also would like for us to consider the thought of let's do what we can do while we can, because what we don't want to do is not move or not say something because of something that may not even be real. For example, I'm not saying that it's not real, but many people say, oh, we shouldn't do this because remember what happened with Tulsa. Yeah, but I also heard Brother Nuri say, man, what about when we knock over an ant pile? We don't see no ant piles not building up no more ant piles because they done seen somebody knock over their ant pile. We don't see the ant pile walking around saying, no justice, no peace. He said the next day they built a bigger ant pile than they did the first time that you knocked it down. So let's not be stagnant and be hesitant because of what happened decades ago. Let's get moving and grooving. And over time, we'll be guided on, how to, what to share and what not to share. But I think confidential information, of course, we don't share certain addresses. We're not going to give out all of the plans. We didn't even share on this. So although it seemed like we probably shared everything, there's things that we didn't even share on this that we're waiting until it develops. Then we'll share it with you all. So I think it just takes a certain amount of discernment as well, when you're sharing, because you do have to say something to attract the like-minded individuals.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Brother Ben. Brother Farrakhan, would you like to close us out this evening before we go to our announcements with some final words?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. You talked about people copying it. Yeah, they can copy the blueprint, but they can't copy the spirit.
Right.
You can go say, hey man, let me get me somebody, and we're gonna start posting Black After Farms. Yeah, you can try it, but if you ain't got the spirit to deal with the customers, to deal with the people, to talk with the people, to have high integrity when you're taking people money, then it's gonna fall anyway. So copy it all that you can, but the spirit and the spirit is the secret sauce that we have. The mindset and the heart is the secret sauce that we have. This has been done before. People have raised money before for land. People have came up with these ideas before. Y'all done seen it in the past, but it's the spirit that the person needs. That's the secret sauce to make it taste good. So yeah, it's many bean pies out there, but it's there's certain bean pie that's good that everybody want to eat.
Don't you dare start talking bean pie talk on this.
Brother
You want to start a riot internationally.
Comments is on fire right now.
Brother Ben, this will be the first Zoom riot.
They're more excited about bean pie than they was. Look, they're on fire in the comments, brother.
So, Brother Farrakhan, please.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. He led us right into the closing. I mean, that's it. You know, it's the spirit. Yeah, I would recommend the Honorable Minister was Farrakhan said, only move in the light. He said, when you're in darkness, don't move because you'll make a mistake. So I recommend, you know, this is a result of men and women trying to connect to God first in our home, in our chamber. And once we find a greater connection to God, then we can accept that God is guiding us. And then we can move out and unite with our brother or sister as that new version of ourselves. But to try to unite and to try to do something like this without being deeply rooted in your faith in God, in your obedience to God and his will, and in constantly seeking his guidance, his protection, his aid. So many things happen that were outside of our control, that had God not done something about it, we wouldn't be here right now. I'm talking about like every 3 weeks, some major thing. And I go to bed at night and I pray. I put up my hands. I say, Allah, I know you got it. And I fall asleep and I wake up and literally, brother, the problem is solved. I'm telling you, man. And so I would recommend everybody focus on self-improvement first and foremost. That's the key, because self-development is the key to community development. God will give you a new mind first. And from the new mind comes a new world. It's not the other, it can't just look like what God said. It's got to really be it. And we striving, you know, we've got a long way to go, but that's the goal. That's what's out front. So I'm grateful to God. And I would recommend that step, that self-development and self-improvement first, because we don't want to bring the old mind into the new world. And the only way we can get into the mind of God is if he allows us. And he will only allow us if we submit. So that's where I'll close this out. As my brother Ben said, it got to be the spirit, 100%.
That's right. Well, we love you both and we pray for the Most High's protection upon you both. We pray that he stays and increases his presence in you, and he stays with you, and he encircles you with his angels so that you can continue to complete that which you have started. Spiritual injection, please take your devices off of mute and let's give our special guest a well-deserved.
Allahu Akbar.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
So just before we conclude,
Thanks for the information.
Sister Sylvina,
Allahu
close
Akbar.
us out with our
Thanks for the information. Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Sister Sylvina, if you can close us out with our announcements, please.